All right. I'm sorry, guys. I got to talk some Star Wars because there is some news that it looks like they have decided unofficially, as of right now, who the next heads of Lucasfilm will be. So, word on the street is, according to the Hollywood Reporter, is that Disney already has a plan of who's going to take over for Kathleen Kennedy when she leaves. Currently, the frontrunners are Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck. Now, Filoni, we all know he's been a part of Star Wars since the mid 2000s, late 2000s when he started with the Clone Wars, working with George Lucas on the Clone Wars cartoon, and has been a part of part of Star Wars since then. He's been heavily involved with The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, all that kind of stuff. Carrie Beck has only been with the company for a shorter period of time, but she has worked very closely with um, Dave Filoni over the last few years, specifically on the creative side to get a handle on things. But she's more of a producer type of level. Think of them going like DC Studios in this regard. Carrie Beck is much more of a Peter Safran type of person, whereas Dave Filoni is much more of a James Gunn type of person. But here is my take on this. Is this the right move? 10 years ago, if it was 2015, 2016, 2017, we'll say 20, we'll say after Last Jedi, okay? After Last Jedi, and I was pissed off at Kathleen Kennedy, and I didn't want her touching Star Wars ever again. I would have said, hell yeah, let's go with this. Dave Filoni all the way. I would have been wrong, but I would have said that. Because today, no, I don't think that's the right move. I honestly believe that what they need to do is they need to pretty much just clean house. I think if Kathy Kennedy leaves, you have to clean house nearly top to bottom from a creative standpoint, because there is a disconnect when it comes to Star Wars in some form or fashion that is just not hitting with the fans, at least not on a large scale. There was a time when Star Wars was the talk of the town. It didn't matter. It was everybody knew what Star Wars was. Everybody understood what Star Wars was. Everybody, whether they admitted it or not, they all liked Star Wars. Sure, there were some holdouts, but for the most part, everybody enjoyed Star Wars. Even when the prequels were coming out, they may not have liked the prequels, but they still loved Star Wars. And they would still watch the prequels. They would still go see the prequels. They were still excited about any new Star Wars lore that was coming out. That was the thing. Today, not so much. That's not the case. You know, there's all this new stuff that comes out, and people aren't excited about it. People don't care about it. People just don't like, yeah, they like Star Wars. Like, I still have yet to watch the second season of Andor, guys. Like, Star Wars is my number one love in everything. And I have not watched a Star Wars piece of material yet that's out. Like, that is absolutely crazy to me. It's because, like, my love for it has dropped so much over the last few years because the quality has dropped. And there's just this disconnect from the fans. So personally, I think keeping Dave Filoni on there, while I think and I know what he's done in animation has been phenomenal, and the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian was great. Ahsoka I enjoyed, but I feel like the right move would be to just kind of clear house for the most part. So if they keep him on and Carrie Beck kind of does more of the producer type of stuff, you know, making sure they get the money, they have the money, and more of the talking head for all that kind of stuff. And then Dave Filoni's the creative side. I don't think that's the right move because Filoni's been the creative side now for a number of years. But let's also not forget that Lucasfilm is more than Star Wars. They have other IPs. Dave Filoni is basically just Star Wars. So who's going to handle Indiana Jones and Willow and all the other stuff that they could potentially do? That's the other question. Now, what I think is interesting, and I was just told this the other day from a buddy of mine. He said he was listening to a podcast, and he said that he heard, I guess it was a couple years ago, that Disney nearly sold off Lucasfilm. Nearly sold off Lucasfilm. I can't believe they didn't do it. But perhaps if they were able to get a couple of strong outings right now, maybe that would be the route to go. I don't know, because they need something, and maybe a new parent company coming in. Maybe I don't know. It would just be interesting. It would be really, really interesting to see something like that happen. I know with Kathy Kennedy leaving, she's going to have producer credits on a lot of the upcoming films that are coming out. The Starfighter with Ryan Gosling and The Mandalorian and Grogu. And if that Rey film happens, it's not going to happen. She would have a producer credit on that. But after that, she probably wouldn't have any more pull with films at all. I'm really curious to see how things go. But then again, could she have been the one that was holding Dave Filoni back? And the reason why I bring that up is because I remember at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, was technically supposed to be the end of Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Grogu's story. That was supposed to be the end of their story. The next season of The Mandalorian, because it was called The Mandalorian because it was supposed to be chapters of Mandalorians. The next chapter was supposed to be the Book of Boba Fett. So it was supposed to be chapter 17, the Book of Boba Fett. And it was supposed to then go about Boba Fett for the next eight episodes. And then after that, it could have been about Bo-Katan, or it could have been about somebody else. Now, Din Djarin could have popped in and out of there like he did, but there was never technically supposed to be a season 3 of The Mandalorian featuring Din Djarin and Grogu. Like, that wasn't supposed to happen. Apparently, it was Kathy Kennedy who was like, we need to keep it going. Grogu sells too much merchandise. People love it. We need to keep it going. So had they not done that, would Book of Boba Fett have been better? We wouldn't have gotten Mandalorian season 3. Like, would things have story-wise have been better with that Mandoverse? So that's just, there's some weird questions and things you have to wonder about. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, though. Like, what do you think? Do you think this is the right move when Kathy Kennedy leaves? Do you think it's the right move to put Dave Filoni in charge alongside Carrie Beck? Or do you think they should clean house? Do you think they should bring somebody else in? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.